yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome, Philman Cooper, he's my first guest for my podcast. This is the start of a podcast called Flying Blind, Caregiver Stories, because going into this process of caring for a loved one, there's no instructions. So that's why it's called Flying Blind. I invited Phil because Phil is a close personal friend. We grew up together, and he helps me take care of my mother, along with his parents. I couldn't think of anybody more informative about this process than Phil. Plus, he lives next door. So, I'm doing this podcast for us as African Americans. We don't put our families in nursing homes. Not too many. So, we have the process of caring for our loved ones. And it doesn't come with any instructions. It doesn't come with any of the ups and downs that you go through with their attitudes and their demeanors and everything like this. So I figured, what a good way to start, and plus it's all around me. Be careful, please. Everybody around me is taking care of somebody. A husband, a parent, aunt, uncle, someone. We're at that age.
Right.
And I'm not telling you how old. So, how did you become a caregiver, Phil?
Well, both of my parents are elderly. I became more of a caregiver because I'm the only sibling, number one. Mm-hmm. I have all my sisters and brothers are deceased.
Yes.
So when something's going on, it's me. Yes. I have to come around and take care of things for my mother, take care of things for my father. More so my father, mm-hmm. because he's 92 years of age. He's had 3 strokes and a heart attack, and he can't do anything for himself.
Right, and that's amazing that you do that. I mean, I know it's hard, but
very.
The blessing is he's still here at 92.
That's
you
correct.
could say it's a blessing or however you want to put it, but he's here for a purpose, and God only knows when that time will come.
True.
So, where do you go to unwind and how?
Well, what I do is I complete the task as far as taking care of my mother and taking care of my father. Mm-hmm. Once that's done and I leave to go on my way, I just go sit back, have something to eat, watch some TV, right. And I'm fine.
Right, because everything is done.
It's done.
Right, so it gives you that zen moment and everything. What hobbies do you have?
Well, the hobby that I have now, I like basketball. Mm-hmm. I like watching football, mm-hmm. But
because we're both Dallas fans.
That's true. That is true. But my biggest favorite thing that I enjoy doing is detailing cars.
Right.
I like seeing a shiny car.
Yes.
Clean car.
You have the shininess and the cleanness. Yes. And it takes you out of what's going on in your day.
Right.
Because you don't have to think, and you see something that you're accomplishing. So you just do it, and right. I don't have to think of anything.
I don't let it put a load on.
Right.
So when I get home and I unwind, mm-hmm. and I release, mm-hmm. all that's gone.
Right.
So tomorrow's another day.
Yeah. And with more challenges and more things that's coming up. Plus, you could swipe that car down real hard, get out some of that frustration.
Put my music on, and I'm fine.
That's right.
But I mean, it's a relief.
Right.
It's relaxation because, mm-hmm. I have my music going.
Right.
And nobody's bothering me.
Right. And
so
it's just you.
It's just me.
Okay. What has been one of the hardest moments caring for your loved one?
The hardest moments that I experienced in my lifetime, mm-hmm. is that when I'm taking care of something with my family, mm-hmm. and that comes up. And mm-hmm. it's really hard to actually stop what I'm doing because I might be somewhere.
Right.
And the situation may needs me, mm-hmm. and that's going to be my biggest.
You have to just stop what you're doing and do what you got to do. Right.
Get back to it.
So you really need to have like 10 or 11 people to do what you do. And it's just you.
Right.
So that takes a lot,
right.
on you,
yes.
You know. And I'm saying this for the same reason because my mother's and to watch the slow decline, that's another thing.
Okay.
You know, and I don't have no complaints. I can't. My mother cooks for herself, she dresses herself, things like that. But you notice the decline. So that in itself is type of mind-boggling. And you know my mother, and you know how she is.
Yes.
So that alone is challenging in itself. Everything is an argument, and everything is. She goes to him before she comes to me, and she tries to make it seem like it's a thing between me and you, but it's not. But that's another story. That's
another conversation.
Episode.
That's another
Okay.
conversation.
And how is it affecting your physical and mental health?
Well, physically, it can affect me if I'm not trained to move my father a certain way. You can really injure yourself. And you have to be careful. And sometimes you have to really give it to the professionals to move him. Because I injured myself moving my dad improperly and lifting him improperly. And when that happens...
Who does what?
Yeah, and then there it is. It's a problem.
Yeah, and you have to maneuver to have somebody else do what you've been doing.
Correct.
Well, that was my next question.
Okay.
How do you reach for help? You just said when you know that you can't do it, or
the only thing I can kind of sometimes depend on is my nephew. Is to call him. So listen, man, I'm such and such place. Can you get over to your grandmother and try to assist your grandfather?
Right.
As quickly as you can. Get over there.
Right. So that's your help.
That's my help.
Right.
Not all the time.
No, because you're all the time.
I'm all the time.
But that's like when you need a reprieve or you need a moment, you can call your nephew.
I call my nephew.
I call my kids.
Okay.
And you.
Okay.
And it's not even a matter of reprieve. It's a matter of like you can't do everything.
No, you
can't. And it's always something. It's always something between different things that have to be done. And then just for your own mental state, own mental health, you have to take a step back every once in a while. And it's hard for me. I feel guilty.
Yes.
I feel guilty, but I know there's no abuse or anything going on and she's okay, and I call her 100 times, and I'm sure you do the same thing because you live next door to me, but your parents live around the corner. So how many times do you go back and forth throughout the day?
I can't keep count.
Right. And we're the lucky ones because we live that close to our parents.
Right.
We have other ones that don't live close to their parents, so that's a shuffle and a bustle. Then you have ones that live in the same house as their parents.
True.
That's a different situation all in itself. I can't imagine that.
That could be a little frustrating for some.
Because you can't get away from it.
Right. I've noticed and I've seen some people put their parents in nursing homes.
Right, because
of that reason. For that reason.
Right.
Because they don't want to deal with that.
Right. It's too much.
It can become so stressful till you have to take a step back and get your thoughts together.
Right.
Because I see myself get, ugh!
Yes.
And I catch myself and say, nah, it's okay.
I'm not even going to say anything.
I'm just, you take a deep breath and you say, thank you, Lord, just give me the strength and to deal with this because it's not going to be easy.
No, and it doesn't get easier.
No, it get harder. This
is my next take on things, and a friend of mine's told me this because when I first moved here, me and my mother was like, boom. So because she's still thinking I'm 10, and not realizing that I'm an adult.
Right.
So my friend told me when you get to that point, and I'm got little T-shirts that says okay. Because when you get to that point where you want to say something back,
right,
just say, okay, you're right, okay, because it doesn't...
Sometimes I find when your parents at that age and they keep snapping, I find myself, I walk away.
Me too.
Because I don't want to see myself arguing with you like that.
Right.
It don't look good.
No.
And it can get ugly.
And it doesn't help you.
No.
And it doesn't help me, her, them, or whoever. But certain times, I walk away a lot.
Okay.
But certain times, they'll do or say something that just punch you in the gut. And you can't let it go. It's like, you got to say something. But I'm even to the point now where that has happened so many times. I just say, okay, you're right. And then she gets mad because I'm telling her she's right. But that's the way it is, and that's what it is. And I'd rather take that than not to have her here.
True.
You know?
I agree with you. Because, see, I just find for me, what works for me is when I see that it's happening between me, I walk away.
And mine the same. Yeah, that's what you.
I'll call her later.
Yeah, that's a good move.
Yeah, walk away.
I do
call
too.
them later. Just give us some time because sometimes they can say stuff
and not remember they even said
what they said.
Yeah.
Or you telling them something and they don't remember.
Right.
Because that's signs of a disease.
Yes.
That we may notice it, they don't notice it.
Nope.
And you look.
Yeah, and then when you call them, you're not even calling them out, but you try to tell them the right way you know what the correct way is. Minds get mad.
Right.
But I don't even let that get to me no more.
No, you gotta. I find that it's easier for me to walk away.
And that's true too.
Because I know I'm high-headed.
Right, me too.
I'm very high-headed. Right. So if I walk away, I feel better. A couple hours later, let this blow over. Right. And then say, hey, Mom, what's up?
And they act like nothing happened.
Exactly. You're right.
They act like nothing happened.
Right.
It took me a minute to get to that point, but I got to the point where now I just walk away. And then she goes into her tangent, but I'm not even going to go there. Okay.
Sure.
We already talked about the challenges.
Okay.
How do you think the person feels you're caring for, knowing that they have to have somebody to care for them? I've never thought of that, because they're used to going around taking care of things, living their life, but then they get to a point where they know they can't. Right. And they seeing like you're stepping into the parental role for them.
Right. I can speak. I'm going to speak on my parents. My mother understands that. Dad, he understands, but he don't understand.
Right, because of his condition.
Because of his condition. When he's in a rehab now, getting some therapy, and the dimension and stuff is still because he talk about things. Oh, that door, I know that's a door behind there.
Right.
Ain't nothing behind this door.
Right.
But you know what the situation is. So yeah, Dad, we gonna work on it. We gonna try to get you.
We gonna get rid of that door.
Yeah. So don't worry about that. It's gonna be okay.
Okay.
See, you have to. What I learned is you have to let them talk, and you could kind of be in agreement, but you know what's going on. As long as you're aware of his mindset, he's gonna say things. He's gonna talk.
Right.
At least give him that opportunity, or give her that opportunity, so they can. Get it out.
Right.
Or if they talking about something, you just agree with them.
Yes. I do that.
Disagree.
This is what I'm noticing lately, and it's not just with my mother. It's like a couple of people I've talked to, because I'm around a lot of older people, it seems, these days. They say, oh, don't get old.
That's their favorite line.
Right, don't get old.
You get my age, you'll see.
Right, or it ain't no fun getting old and all of that, but I don't know what the alternative is to get. Nobody came back and said, "Hey, it's like this on this side."
Well,
but I'd rather get old than to figure that part out. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Understand.
So, and I bring that up. They don't expect me to say it when they mention the fact that, oh, don't get old because this happens and that happens and I'll let them go into their ailments and what's going on. But then I'll say, well, I'll take getting old. Because I don't know what's happening on the other side.
Right.
Nobody came back and said, this is this.
Oh, that's going to be this way.
So.
We won't know that.
No. So
we have to live that to get to that point. If I live to get your age, hopefully I'm a little better.
Right.
Hopefully I'm in a better situation where I don't have to depend on my kids to do things for me.
Right.
I'm saying I try to be as careful as I can, but I want to at least have some of my faculties where I can at least do this, do this, do this. Because the main thing is when they get to a situation like that, is trusting you.
Yeah.
That trust issue becomes a big issue.
Big issue because
with your family.
Yeah, because they always think it's something you got an ulterior motive, which you don't. Right. You know what I mean? But And whatever happens and what has happened is gone now, and we're at a different place. So, but I don't even take you not trusting me. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm just going to do what I have to do to get to where we got to go. No matter what. It's just me, and this is what it is. Right.
It is what it is.
Okay, and I said this, culture, it's not often that I hear of people our age especially,
right,
and of our cultural backgrounds putting their parents in nursing homes. First of all, it's so much they take away from you if you put them in a nursing home.
Everything.
And if you have nothing, then it's okay.
Then it's okay.
But if you have stuff,
then
you
it ain't
can't
okay.
because they take everything away.
Well,
so does that make us the way that we have to do it? We have to do it.
Well, what I'm only speaking for experience. I had an uncle that lived in senior citizen. We had to put him in a nursing home. The nursing home requirement, he had Medicaid, Medicare. He had to get Medicaid to order to stay there. So I had to go and apply for Medicaid, go downtown, fill out the paperwork, because I knew enough information to do so I can get him approved so he could be in the nursing home. Because there was nobody there, his son wasn't going to take care of him, so we had to do the next best thing. Then he developed leukemia. Okay?
Right.
So my uncle, he already had glaucoma, so he couldn't see or drive at night. So he didn't have much money in the bank. He had that much. He had a few things. He had senior citizen, he had furniture and stuff in the apartment. So I had to get him taken care of there first.
Right.
Knew he wasn't coming back home.
Right.
Had to clear out the apartment. So it's constant work. People don't realize it. And when you're the only one, now I'm just the nephew.
Right.
His son, they do nothing. And it becomes...
You resent it.
You know, a problem. It becomes a problem for me.
Yeah, because you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Right.
But knowing that he didn't give a shit. Excuse me.
Right. No, it's okay.
He didn't care.
Right.
Okay? So when he went to see my uncle, and my uncle looked at him, he didn't even know who he was. You know, he had done got too far gone.
Right.
And so I said to my cousin, I said, man, it's sad.
Right.
You know, your dad don't even remember. He don't know who you are.
Because you ain't been around.
Right. So, me as a nephew, I had to do everything. Whatever I couldn't do, whatever I couldn't do, I had to, okay, if he got a policy, you got to sign off on it. You got to give it to the funeral parlor. They got to do X, Y, Z.
Because you still, regardless you doing everything, you still not on the paperwork.
I'm not the one.
No.
You're the one.
Right.
But nobody wants to do it. But he had next of kin, which is he had his sister.
Oh, his sister.
My aunt and my mother are his siblings. And he had a brother.
Right.
But the thing was, my uncle was a veteran. Okay. So I wanted him to have his veteran due. They didn't want to have that. Not my mom. His other two siblings didn't want him to be...
Right. And these are other people that really wasn't helping when the time came, but when time came for the things to happen, they had to put in their...
I was taking care of my uncle's stuff.
Right.
Writing his checks, doing everything.
Right.
As far as that's concerned. Because he couldn't see no more. I had to step to the plate.
Right.
You know, and do these things. You don't want to have to exclude their kids, but where you at, man?
Right.
What you doing?
Exactly.
And it hurts. Because it's your family. You sitting there, you watching your uncle die.
Right. And plus on top of that, going back to the question, how do you think he felt? Because, I mean, even though he doesn't remember, he still got feelings. He still knows this is not right.
He told me, he said, on his deathbed, he said, they ain't shit.
Right.
Excuse my French. He said it to me. He said, listen, he said, man, you know, you do what you have to do. Don't come out your pocket for nothing. And I didn't. I made sure what he had and what policy he had. I made sure everything was taken care of.
Right. He
was a military. I wanted him to get his military done. I said, if y'all want him to go here, to put him up here, give me the extra 4,000.
Right.
You bury, you open up the grave in the cemetery.
Nobody gave that for that.
Nobody gave that money.
Another thing I go to, speaking of that, is when they put them in. I found this out. You knew my grandfather.
Right.
That if they have property and you have to put them in a nursing home, if they haven't signed that over to somebody else within 7 years,
right,
before you put them in, because it ain't like, oh, you're gonna get sick and I'm gonna sign this off to you. No, that doesn't work like that.
No.
So if it had, I'm just putting this out there for informational, and that's part of what's going on too, because we've experienced all of this. If it's not within 7 years, it doesn't matter.
You lose.
You lose. Everything you've worked so hard for, everything that this and that, it's gone.
It's going to be in their hands.
Right.
Other people's hands.
Right. So.
Let's see if you have to deal with that.
Yes, and that's the crazy part. So that's one of the reasons why I'm thinking like because that paperwork came together for that 7 years. Some people's aren't, and they still want to take care of their parents, and that's wonderful and good, because they, that's the way they are. But certain people doing it because they don't have no other choice. Either
right.
lose the house that your family has, or you lose everything that your family has worked for.
Yep.
And it's gone. So as opposed to doing that, you do it yourself.
All your assets be.
Even getting like home health aid is an investment.
You just gotta spend some money.
You gotta spend the money.
You keep them at their home until the end.
Right.
And that's bottom line.
That's it. Because that's the way it is. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
Well, just getting back on that subject, it's very difficult. And when you're the only child,
hello,
and when paperwork is not in order, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
It's because when you try to tell them, I don't have any issues there.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah, I know. But I say to anybody, regardless if there is, you are the next of kin. Ain't a soul can do shit. And I know that.
Right.
And so my thing is to say, I don't want no parts, even though how close I am to your parents.
Know.
I just said, Betty, put your paperwork in.
Right. I told him, tell Gabby.
Put your paperwork in
If
order.
you don't want me, tell Gabby. Tell
Put
somebody.
This
is what.
Hold up. Here's another thing I can tell you that can work.
Right. Okay.
You can be her next of kin. You just have an executor to make sure
that things are being done.
that things are being done right, and that's all.
On that point, she did have an executor.
She did?
Yes. Not too long after Lonzie passed, and this messed me up big time, but we went because, my stuff with him, and she changed the will. Now, the executor was my Uncle Joe.
He passed away.
Right. But at the time, I'm saying, you mean to tell me I have to wait for him to come from Vegas before we do anything? Because if he's the executor, I can't do anything until you come.
Right.
So you mean to tell me I have to wait for him to come from Vegas before I can do anything? Well, that's what she wanted. Unfortunately, and I didn't care because I loved my uncle to death.
Right.
He's not here. He passed away.
Right.
So I don't even know. I really don't. And I've asked several times, and every time she goes, she says Anita.
Who the hell is that?
Her friend in Florida that's old as she is. I don't know. Maybe she's done something and she just hasn't told me, and I don't care. But I just try to not even think about that and do what I have to do to do my best. Because when she do close her eyes, then who's to say she will before me?
Exactly.
Because
I tell anybody
it's leaving here. So I'm not even looking at that. I'm not looking at any of that. I just know that when the time comes, and by His holy grace, it will be done. Right. And that's the only thing I could put it into. Because if not, I'll be crazy.
All I would say, just relax your mind with that, because the thing is, at the end of the day, you is that person.
Yeah.
Ain't a person, your daughter, your son, if nothing is in writing,
It don't matter.
it don't matter.
Right.
Even if it is in writing, that's still your daughter.
Right.
That's still your son.
It's not
It's
me.
still you.
Right. So
No matter what, all I have to say is that I hope it's
it will be.
put
It
in
will
perspective.
be. And she
'Cause
tells
I
me
just don't.
little things like, well, when the time comes and this and that and other, and I don't even feed into it, and that's part of the problem. It's not a problem because I don't even make it a problem anymore, but it's part of the process, I guess, of this time in both of our lives. And another thing we was talking about taking care of them, we ain't youngsters.
Nope. Nope.
So
We ain't sprint. We the same age.
right. And it's not like we could be running around and doing everything either. So that's another thing we have to really keep in mind of taking care of ourselves. Because I even had to tell her the other day, I'm not a youngster myself.
But we have to go to the doctor. We have to do our blood work, get our eyes examined. We got to go to the doctor and
Like
get
them.
ourselves checked just like them. We
Right.
can't take for granted.
No. Like
And I'm not going to take it for granted because if my shoulder get out of whack, I can't do nothing. I can't do no lifting.
anything happened to us, we can't do nothing. And that's the blessing in itself that we are in that time and frame of mind and physically able to do what we can at this point. Because it's people our age that's not able to.
Not at all.
They
There's some
can't-
people in wheelchairs.
Wheelchairs, walkers, canes,
everything.
the whole thing. So that is the blessing that we have too, and He guides us. And I'm very spiritual. You know that. I'm not a churchgoer or anything, and I do go to church, but I believe that He's with us and He guides us and He does what's necessary for us to get through this time.
And I'm gonna say in closing that if it wasn't for God,
That's it. That's the only thing it is.
It wouldn't be.
No.
And He gives us the strength
and the frame of mind.
and the frame of mind to do it.
Right.
And the energy
Yeah.
that I can go
Right.
from your house, your
Yeah.
mother's house, to my mother's
Right.
house, and back and forth, and do the things that I do.
It's the blessing.
It's the
on
man
Him.
upstairs.
That's like you asked me, how did I get that? What is the first thing I said? The job I got?
Yeah.
Only Him. Because I had to get away. I didn't want full time, but I needed to get away and be out amongst people, and that's my thing. And so, I want to thank you for being my first guest.
Yes.
And I think it went really well.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Y'all don't know how scared I've been doing this. They do.
Right.
That's what's taking, because I've been telling you about this for a minute.
Right. You did. You've been.
But
talking
I've
to
been
me about
so scared of it's jumping in.
Okay.
The fear of not knowing. You know what I mean? You just got to do it.
As they say, don't talk about it.
Just do it.
Do it.
And that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Make it happen. You can be nervous, but so what?
But I'm a talker.
There you go. Well, that ain't gonna be hard at all.
No, that's the one thing. I'm a talker. I can talk about anything and anybody.
Well,
but thank you, Phil.
No problem. You're welcome.
I appreciate this so much.
Yes.
And to my camera person here,
Yes.
Gabrielle McCary, my daughter, and my son did the sound.
Yes.
And he will do the marketing. So
Okay.
And like I said, I'm getting these T-shirts.
Okay.
That says okay.
Okay.
And I'll show you the graphics. I already got it done. I just gotta print them out.
Okay.
But that's gonna be my thing.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you, Phil Mon.
Yes.
My pleasure.
My pleasure.